got this pod.
So true.
Crank it out, crank it out.
The trees are so pretty.
It's windy. I don't know how it's... Hopefully the dead cat kills it.
Ah.
Ooh, damn.
Dead
Cats
cat
are
kills.
dead. No, dead cats can't kill because they're dead already.
What? Like that.
All right.
Crazy because it's windy.
Cheers, everyone. We got acai mixed berry smoothies today. We just finished dinner, and this is kind of a palate cleanser dessert kind of thing.
It's pretty good. I'm impressed.
I'm a fan.
There's literally only 3 ingredients. Mixed frozen berries, pre-made acai frozen packets, and some almond milk.
Costco knows the hookup.
Very true.
It's fire.
It's gas.
All right. Oh, why do you always have different dogs on rotation? Who does this cutie belong to?
That's funny.
Who is that? Oh.
What? I don't have that many dogs on my... I need to call my friend.
Just kidding. No, it's
My
fine.
friend just texted. That's
It's
so
cuffing
funny.
season. It's sad
It
autumn
is, dude.
girl season.
This fall is
my
cuffing
God.
season.
Dude,
Fall
I
is
was-
dating season.
I know,
Look
man.
at the
It
leaves.
really is.
Beautiful.
It just makes you want to fall in
That's
love.
true.
I want to
Almost.
go to an apple orchard or a pumpkin patch
No.
or a corn maze.
With a
Disgusting.
significant other. Oh, Rachel, you don't know the joys of fall weather with a loved one.
Dude, it'd be nice. It do be nice.
It do be
Don't
nice,
lie.
but
It's pretty nice.
sometimes you just gotta be
Scarce.
single and
Work on
discard.
yourself.
True. Work on yourself.
some-
You
Sometimes you gotta
can
work
go
on
apple
yourself.
picking yourself. Or with friends.
That would be so
That'd
lonely
be
and
so
sad.
sad. That'd be so sad.
I would never do
Kidding.
that.
Go with friends or go with children.
That's true. I've done.
Rachel
All
with
right,
that.
pause.
Wait a minute.
on.
Wait a minute.
Volunteer with an organization that works with children and then take
Alright,
them to the
that's
apple
better.
orchard.
That's better.
It's adorable. It's so
All right, cool. Let's get started. So, welcome everyone. This is now the 3rd episode of the Rooftop Pod. We've decided on the name. Rooftop Pod LLC coming to y'all soon. Maybe.
No.
Hard maybe. I'm your host Jesse, and with me today is
Rachel.
Andrew.
again. My siblings have not changed since the last episode, and we're
We have
doing well
siblings
today.
on rotation.
I got siblings on rotation too.
Hey, Philip,
yo.
John, come in.
Next episode, I do be switching up the characters in the
The plot line.
true.
in the
True.
pod. Which I'm very excited about. I'm excited to have some fresh faces, some new people on the pod. But we're rocking with the OG crew right now, the big kids. And we're gonna continue what we were discussing on the last episode. So we kind of left on a little bit of a cliffhanger about how our relationship as siblings have evolved over the years. I think we all recognize now that our relationship with each other have been very different, from childhood to now when we're all out of the home. Just want to get your thoughts on how you guys see it from your perspective on how our relationship has changed. You can start from anywhere in our timeline, because obviously we got like 20 plus years of sibling relationships to go over. But yeah, overall
Yeah.
thoughts.
I'll start with me and Jesse.
Okay.
It was really interesting. I think growing up, me and Jesse were always super close. So we would like wake up at like 5 a.m. and like play ping pong in the basement together.
What?
We would do
Yeah, we
literally
were butt
everything
buddies.
together. Like
People thought we were
Jesse-
twins.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why, because we don't look
We don't look
nothing
nothing
alike, and we never
Yeah.
did growing up. But
Yeah,
people thought
no.
we were twins, which was kind of funny.
Yeah. But like whatever you did, I was like, no, I'm gonna do this too. So if Jesse started running cross country, I started running cross country.
Mm.
If Jesse started playing tennis, I started playing tennis.
Mm-hmm.
And then like whatever classes you took in high school, same thing. I just followed in suit. I don't know, something happened. I feel like it was early freshman year of high school for me.
Mhm.
So like your junior year, but like somewhere in that middle school, early high school time period, like me and you started to grow apart. I remember like Rachel was saying earlier today, like Jesse was just always out of the house high school. And yeah, I don't
true.
know. Like we were always close, but during that period, I think we got less close because you were just not around.
Yeah.
Makes you sound like an absent
How-
father.
how-
but-
No, how I see it is when we were kids, we had no choice but to be friends with each other. But once we started developing relationships outside of each other,
Yeah,
when
you were
we
like that kid.
I'm like, damn, my friends at school are a little bit cooler than Andrew. So I was like,
Ouch.
I'm gonna go hang out with them
I-
instead. But you were also younger, so there was kind of like that
Right.
age gap. And when you're younger, that 2-year age gap makes a little more of a difference. And then now, obviously, we can hang out. Dude, there's some tiny seeds in there.
Yeah,
that
no,
keep
you gotta just see.
getting
I sounded like I was
caught
gonna
up in
start
my
crying.
I'm not choking up. It's not.
It's a
sensitive.
sad
he
story, man. It's a
is.
sad story, man.
He's sad about how the relationship fell apart during certain years.
No. I mean, I am a little bit sad that we weren't super close, but me and Andrew had our individual friend groups that we
Right.
stuck really close to. And I don't think, like, in college we developed more friend groups and became close with them. And obviously when we're in college, we're busy living our own separate lives. And we started doing that basically in high school. Like, we were living our own separate lives. Yeah, and then I think post college, again, you're like, I have no choice to be closer to my siblings because my friends
have
are
no
now all
friends.
gone. Yeah, they're all living in
Yeah.
different cities again. And I think that's kind of how we started to become close again.
Yeah.
Big overview kind of look at things.
Me and Rachel was a little bit different though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
us and
yeah.
actually Rachel's relationship with all of the brothers is kind of interesting in
Yeah.
how it evolved.
How did you see us as a kid, like growing up?
Oh, well, I was annoying as as a child.
Oh,
Like, this
good.
is...
Glad you can recognize
Hey,
that.
we
No,
recognize
I mean, you guys told me I was annoying as a child all the time. So I just embraced it.
I mean,
I was
you're
like,
annoying
okay,
now,
I will.
so I'm just kidding. Not as annoying, but
Just
there's
see
certain
myself
things.
out. No, I'm just
Goodbye.
There's certain things that could still be improved.
No, I
on.
know. I know. Because I'm most comfortable with you guys. Like, so most of my negative qualities I would show to you guys and not my friends.
Fair.
Sure, yeah.
Because you guys can't abandon me. I mean, you could,
That's
but
the thing
you
about
can't.
family.
We
Yeah.
can't.
So you guys tend to see the worst sides
Yeah.
of me, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, we weren't close with you when we were kids living at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of at all.
It kind of because it was a little bit on both sides. It was like me and Andrew excluded you from things because
Yes.
you
Very
were
much so.
younger and you were
Yeah.
also a girl. So I think we would do things together without you.
Yeah.
We would also like gang up on you and bully you because you
Yes.
were the
Indeed,
younger
indeed,
sister.
indeed.
But I feel like that's an older sibling thing to do.
Yeah, you bullied
Yeah,
me too.
but
That's
you guys
totally
like,
fair.
could gang
Probably.
up though. Like,
Yeah,
as
the
a
thing
kind
is
of
you
did.
could
Yeah.
gang up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's I almost feel like you get that from me and Andrew, but also John and Philip gang up on you too. So you got two opposing sides coming at you.
John and Philip don't gang up on me.
Oh, they just annoy you.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just, I mean,
That's
Phil will
different.
push your buttons.
I think
That's different.
no, Philip
Oh,
pushes. my
Philip pushes buttons,
Oh
but
my
that's
goodness.
that's too
different,
anecdotal.
yeah.
We're not gonna
Yeah.
get into that.
No. But John and Philip, I will bully them.
As you
Yeah.
should as a
Cool.
older
Yeah.
sibling.
No.
Yeah.
It's the big sister.
But like, I don't
big
have anyone
sibling role.
to like back me up. You know. There's
Yeah.
two of them and only one of me.
Yeah, and Phil's so good at
Yeah.
deflecting and stuff.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it gets me going.
Yeah, I do feel like when we were growing up, we were never close. We never had like vulnerable conversations. We like didn't have any close bonding time. All we did was kind of bully you. And I remember, I don't know, there's a couple
Which one?
specific instances of us bullying you that stick out in my mind.
A bird to duck, or a duck,
yes.
a bird.
Oh my god.
Yes, that's
classic
one
one.
of my favorite
It's
Rachel
so good.
bullying moments. What was it? Yeah, I'm gonna
So-
let one of you
So
guys
on Webkins,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
the front desk lady, not Lady Bird.
Okay, so Webkins are these like stuffed animals you can buy from the store. They come with a digital code that you can register online and play with your little Webkins
Oh, geez.
online.
Yeah.
Awesome toy.
Yeah,
Really
so-
ahead of themselves. Like
So
that was
true.
super
You
cool.
can still play it now.
It's like augmented reality.
yeah.
Webkins? Wow.
Yeah, sure.
They're on top of that.
It's Tamagotchis,
way back.
but
That's true.
more
Tamagotchi.
interactive.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
Tamagotchis are
And you
sick
get a
too.
physical like stuffed animal.
yeah, that's nice.
Anyways, Webkins.
Yeah. So when you first like get onto the game, there's a duck that kind of like welcomes you in, guides you through like what all you're supposed to do. Here's your room. Like here's how you do all these things. And I was like, let me just preface, this duck does not look like a duck, okay? It has a beak, but it does not look like a duck. And so I made a bet with Jesse and Andrew. I was like, no way in hell that is a bird. Okay.
So Rachel
So when
thought,
I
how
was
old were you at that point?
5. I was like 5 years
Okay.
old. I was like, a duck is not a bird. Solely based off of like the virtual rendition of a cartoon duck.
Yes.
Webkins.
So
right?
Andrew and I were like, oh, you're that confident about ducks not being birds? All right, let's put money on it. How about we put $1 billion on a duck not being a bird? And Rachel was like, bet. Like, I'm so confident in this.
Yeah. Okay, that duck did not have wings. Let me just say, I could not see any wings there.
We're gonna need to pull up a picture.
Yeah, I know. We
but,
gotta pull a picture up here.
but she took the bet, and to this day, she has still not paid off her $1 billion. I think at one point we did soften it to $500 million.
Yeah.
Sometime
I forget.
in like China.
It got
Yeah.
Like we did.
Andrew and I
Cut it
were like,
down.
we're gonna be nice to Rachel. We're gonna cut this debt in half. Like you only owe us $500 million.
$500 million.
And to this day, we still keep tabs on it. And I honestly think your tab is growing rather than reducing. But
Oh, man.
that's I don't expect you to ever pay that back. But we're holding you to it.
Okay.
We're never gonna stop reminding you about that bet. That's crazy because we made that bet like
Wow.
20 years ago. That's nuts.
15.
15 years ago.
15 years ago. Damn.
That's crazy.
Well, I want to hear your perspective of why you started talking to me.
Mine?
Yeah, in
Oh.
college.
Ooh, I can't remember.
I know. I can't remember. Damn, you also can't remember. So I was gonna talk about when you went to college, Jesse. Our relationship. Yeah, I think after you left for college, we never physically fought. I think ever again after that.
Physically fought.
Dude,
wow,
like,
it's been a long
that's
time since we
crazy.
I
physically
know.
fought.
We used to
Can
throw
we
hands.
throw down
Do
right
throw
now?
hands right now.
No, I would rather not.
If Rachel and I team up, I think we could.
Yeah,
we could
I
take
think
him.
so.
We
Yeah.
could take. All right, chill.
No, but I remember because you were always physically stronger than me in high school, so I would fight dirty. Like I would.
Still am.
No. Not as much. Not as much. You let yourself go.
Come on, man.
No. But I remember after you left for Hopkins, like, no, I don't think we ever like fought physically ever after that.
I don't think we should have been.
Yeah, that's true.
We're like 20 years old at that
Yeah.
point.
That's facts.
Yeah.
But no, I think we got a lot closer once you left. And then the same thing happened when I left for college.
Mhm.
I remember I don't
Mhm.
think I had like any real conversations with Rachel, like really ever.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember like the first like long phone call we had when I was in college, because I was a freshman in college, you were a freshman in high school, and I
Right.
think we were talking about homecoming. We had like a super long conversation
Oh.
about it, and I was just like, oh wow, I can finally talk to my little
Why
sister
don't
now.
I recall this conversation.
I don't know. I like talking about school dances
Oh,
because I
you
have planned
peaked in
them.
high school.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I kid.
Andrew did peak in high school.
Yeah, he low-key did though.
I did enjoy high school.
No, but I
was
think
learning
that's kind of
college,
the
though.
same way with me and Philip, is that now that he's in high school, I think high school is a big turning point in sibling relationships, because that's when you can start offering like real advice that will help
Right.
them in their future. So I think when I was in high school, instead of you like following everything that Jesse
Right,
did,
right.
I was like, I'm not gonna do anything that Jesse and Andrew did. Like, I'm
Word.
gonna go a
Yeah, yeah.
completely separate
Yeah.
path.
And that
I'm
you
gonna
did.
find my own. Yeah, I'm gonna find my own interests. I'm not gonna do any of the same clubs. I did take some of the same classes because if you guys enjoyed classes, I wanted to take them too.
Yeah, definitely.
But overall, I was like, I don't want to be compared to Jesse or Andrew
Yeah.
because you both are like
Definitely.
very successful. Mom and dad gloat about y'all. And so I was like, I want to build like my own personal identity. And I think growing up, I was also just very independent because you guys were always together. And then so I just played with myself. Like I would mess up my room so bad.
Yeah, you had a lot of
I had my own like
independent
virtual
projects.
yeah. I like
Yeah.
the arts and crafts.
Yeah.
It got real messy.
Yeah, I honestly, as a big brother, one of the most amazing things to do or to see is like all my younger siblings branching off and doing completely different things. Like I'm so glad that you guys aren't in medicine,
thank
because
God.
that would make my life
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great because I could help you guys down that trajectory,
Right.
which would I don't know, be a cool thing. But seeing you guys do something different and offer new perspectives and expertise in our relationship is amazing. Like if I have some random question about something that I'm obviously not familiar with, I have at least 2 different people that have expertise potentially in that area.
Right.
And it's really cool that you didn't follow in my footsteps. I think Andrew said that he was up until a certain point.
Yeah.
that point where you branched off, that was a proud big brother moment, because I was like, damn, Andrew is like finding his own way through life now.
Yeah.
He's not just following behind me, which is really cool to see. And I hope that follows the same for John and Philip as well.
Yeah.
Dude, we're starting to cover a lot of the bases, though. I don't know what else John and Philip can do.
That's true. Career-wise,
do
we can do professional sports.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
true.
true. We
And,
can have an Olympian.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
one of them can be a streamer. They like video games a lot.
A little bit too
Um,
much.
But yeah, there was something else I wanted to say. I
I
forget.
really like what you said about having like different resources to pull from in terms of siblings going down different
Yeah.
paths, because every single time one of my friends has some kind of issue going on with their body, like their legs twitching, like their ankle hurts, the first person I call, I'm like, let me
Basically.
call my brother. Let me call Jesse real quick right now.
And I usually don't offer anything super helpful because it's usually a non-medical emergency type thing.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah. It's usually like, oh, my ankle's kind of been hurting for the past 2 weeks. Should I go to the doctor kind of deal?
And I'll say that she has psoriatic arthritis or something. Just something crazy. Just to scare him a little bit.
But it's nice to have Jesse, like, whenever something's acting up or I'm like, why is my body doing this?
Dude,
it's
this
nice
is
to have
tab.
Jesse to be there. And then
Yeah.
Andrew with all the financial advice. So my
true.
friends were setting up their Roth IRAs, like,
Dude,
over
I
the
love
past
it.
few years.
Mhm.
And so when they were doing that, I went to Andrew
That's
with a
true.
lot of
I went to Andrew to
questions.
set up my Roth IRA
Yeah,
as well.
I did as well. And like Andrew telling me to get a credit card when I started college,
Yep.
and like a lot
Yep.
of the financial, like preparing yourself for the future, so you have that like financial cushion.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
One of you guys said that your turning point in your relationship was in high school. I think you were talking about Philip.
Yeah.
For me, it was definitely college. I think the turning point in my sibling relationship,
Mm.
not only relationship with you two, but it extends even farther to mom and dad. My relationship with my family changed a lot in college. And I think it has something to do with the concept of distance makes your heart grow fonder.
Mm.
Where-
yeah, for sure.
Because you're not seeing your parents every day,
Yeah.
or your family, your siblings every day. Well, one, there's no chance for them to annoy you anymore. But also, two, you appreciate each moment that you get with them so much more
Right.
when you're seeing them so much less frequently. And I think during that time where I saw you guys less frequently, that's when I became closest with you, Andrew, mom and dad.
Right.
Just because of moments that we did have together, I cherished much more. I think that was a turning point for me.
Yeah. And I think it's also a realization of it's like you guys have known each other for so long, and now that you only have these few moments, you realize that you really don't know your siblings as well as you probably
Yeah.
want to or should.
I saw a crazy video or something about if you calculate how often you see your parents every year. For some people, they see their
Oh,
parents
yeah.
like 2 or 3 times a year, like very infrequently.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, our parents probably have like what? Dad's like 60, almost 60, like
Yeah.
20, 30 years left to live. You can count how many times you're going to see your parents like
Yeah.
moving forward. And
I don't
that
like that. I don't like
concept
that.
is crazy
like
because
it.
it's like if you calculate it out like 20 years times like 2 or 3 times, that's like 40, like 60 times that you're going to see your
Oh my
parents more in the
gosh.
future. And that's just like a ticking clock,
Dude, this is making me real sad.
which is like crazy.
Okay, well, you're working on anti-aging.
That's true. I
Research.
am interested in anti-aging research, but the idea that we have such limited time with
Yeah.
like the people we love the most
Yeah.
really hits if you actually start thinking about it. And I think when you start thinking about it, you inevitably will start making more effort into like putting time and making an effort to go see your parents.
Right.
Anyways, I saw that video once and I was like, holy shit, like
Yeah.
everyone's time here is limited and like every second counts. So
That's
yeah.
a good perspective
That's
to
it.
have. It's very sad. but-
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I'm trying to think how else has our relationship changed.
I think mine with both of y'all have changed a lot because I think until I was in high school and or Andrew was in college, like we didn't have much of a relationship
Yep.
aside from you dropping me off on the side of the road to go to middle school when you were driving.
Oh, yeah. I
And you're
remember
like,
that.
I'm not gonna go through the little circle
The
and drop you
traffic,
off.
You
at
would
the
have been
front.
late, and then I
Yeah.
would have been late. Mason's
So,
very safe.
Wait, what?
You can
I was
walk.
just dropped when there was like the stop sign.
Yeah,
the
I
traffic
dropped her
sign.
off on Mason Mott, and then she walked into the middle school, and
Yeah.
instead of going into the middle school parking lot, super anecdotal, saves so much
Yeah.
time, very efficient.
Okay.
Anyways, dropped
Yep.
off on the side of the street.
Sure.
Okay, sure, whatever.
Just kidding. No, it was smart. Sometimes I did worry that you would go through the stoplight and then I would have to just like run out. Anyways. What was
I
gonna
forgot I
say?
dropped you off in middle school. Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways.
But yeah, I think I didn't have much of a relationship with you yet because you were still like 6 years older than me, and that seemed like a big
yeah.
distance.
I
And you were
forget that I'm that much older than you.
graduated from college?
No,
No,
it was midway
you
through
were
college.
midway through college. Yeah.
I think I actually became close to close to Rachel because I was kind of jealous of how close you and Andrew were. Because you guys definitely
We got-
grew close.
Yeah. After you
Outside of me, yeah. Like after I left
Yeah.
for college, I think you two became close. And I was like, hold on, why am I not
Wait
a
a
part of
second.
this?
Wait a minute.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I was just like, hey, I need to become a part of this. I'm just gonna inject myself into this relationship, and it worked out.
Yeah.
We're doing a podcast now. This is my way of injecting myself into this
We didn't really
relationship.
want to be
Yeah.
friends with Jesse, but we
Yeah.
decided to let him in.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess you can sit with us. Yeah, but I think it was just easier to talk to Andrew. I think Andrew was just more approachable because I called you brother because I think you bullied me a lot more than Andrew did. And this
Really?
goes back to the last episode where we were talking about how Andrew was always more of a goody two shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Andrew was just he didn't bully me as much.
Yeah, I'm a sensitive soul.
Yeah, I think Andrew's definitely the nicer brother. I don't think I'm mean or
You
a
were
bully.
just
I think
less
I just
approachable.
hold on. No. I think I just tell things straight up. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't fluff things up. I tell them how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the difference between me and Andrew.
Okay. Sure.
Sibling relationships. All right, so the other thing that I felt like college, the other thing that I think college really changed my perspective on. Oh, I need a burp. Ooh, okay, I'm good. Was how it changed my perspective on taking ownership of my own culture. So when we were talking about how our relationship changed with family and stuff in college, it kind of reminded me of how my relationship with my culture changed a lot during college as well. And I don't know if you went through this necessarily in college, but this definitely happened to me during college. I kind of want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Sure.
Or I can talk about it. I'll talk about it first here. So I think we all know that we grew up in in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is in Ohio. So we were the minority growing up for sure. Even though the suburb town that we grew up in was fairly diverse, I would say it's definitely not as bad as you can get.
Abnormally Asian heavy.
Now it is.
Now
Yeah.
it is.
No.
But
Even
when I was young, I was like the only Asian guy on the cross country team.
But that's cross country. Cross country.
Yeah,
is
but
just
now
very
cross
white.
country is like all Asian kids. It's like
It's actually
50%
pretty
Oh
crazy.
Asian
really?
kids.
Yeah.
Well, when I
not
was running too, it was also very few Asian.
But even in like grade school, I remember there being only like one other Asian kid in my class.
That's
All right,
fair, but that's
relative to like
different.
growing up on the West Coast,
Yes,
I definitely
okay.
felt like I
Yes.
was a minority. There's no
Oh,
doubt
yeah.
about that.
Well, yeah, that is true for sure.
All right, so definitely growing up, and this is like a really well-covered topic. A lot of people talk about this, how growing up as an Asian in a predominantly white neighborhood, you're gonna feel like an outsider. You're gonna feel like you don't belong. That's inevitable. You look different from everyone, and that was definitely something I struggled with for sure. But what was really cool was that when I went to college, I don't think I want to say I didn't have a single white friend in college, which was kind of no, that's not true.
Okay.
I definitely had way more friends of color than I did who were white. Like it far outnumbered it, and that was the first time in my life where I felt like my friends were majority people of color, and
Dang.
that was for the first time in my life when I had a friend group that was predominantly people of color, where I actually felt like I was at home Like I felt at home with my group of friends in college. And I've never felt so comfortable around a group of people until I built my friend group in college. I love my high school friends, but there's always this like disconnect that I felt like I had with them. Like I could not truly relate to them because our family definitely was not like a westernized family. Like mom and dad didn't come here and become like, they didn't really uptake the Western culture. So I always felt like there's this dissonance between me and my high school friend group.
Right. No, I've talked to Andrew about this a bit, where I've told you that I'm like insecure about how connected to culture I am. And I definitely, growing up, it's like you feel like an outsider, and I don't know if you guys experienced this too, but I wanted to be whitewashed. Like I wanted to fit in so badly.
Definitely, I wanted to be white so bad. Up until I went to college.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Or for me, that happened earlier. But it's also the feeling of like you don't feel as desirable because you're a person of color, and that like hits you in middle school especially. So yeah, I definitely experienced that, and I don't know if you guys also like were a little judgmental of people who are too connected to their culture too.
Yes.
Yeah. But I like look back at that and I'm so ashamed that I ever felt that way because, and I think this has a lot to do with Asian representation in media, because there was just none when we were growing up.
Yeah, that's true.
And so there was nothing that was being portrayed like in media that would make you feel proud of being who you were as a person of color.
Yeah, in fact, it was the only representation that existed in media were stereotypical like
exactly.
Asian American
undesirable things. Usually.
Exactly. Yeah. Which made you hate yourself and hate your culture even more.
And it's like the stereotype of, you know, like being quiet, studying hard, and like not being super assertive.
Being nerdy and unattractive.
Yeah.
Dang.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed how late this shift happened to me, because I remember freshman year of college, I saw like some of my other Asian American friends go off to different universities, and they become friends with like a group of like predominantly Asian Americans within their universities. And I was just like, oh, look at them. They're not like assimilating into like Western culture. I'm just like, whereas I'm like, oh, look, I've like become friends with all these white people.
You're proud of yourself.
I was proud of myself.
I honestly, the more white friends I had in high school, I was like, damn, I'm one of the cool kids. Like, they accept me. And honestly, the friends that I made in high school were the cool, like they were cool because they accept. Okay, hold on. How do I frame this? Like they were very accepting of who I am, and that's why I became friends with them.
Right.
That's why I like I said, I had a great group of college or high school friends, because they were very accepting of who I am. But there were definitely people within the high school that are, because I was Asian, they definitely made me feel like an outsider, for sure.
But let me also qualify, like I loved like my white friends that freshman year, but I remember
Such a weird
sophomore year. But sophomore year, I'm just like, why am I ashamed of being friends with like Asian people?
Hey,
why?
For sure. Because like, okay, so for me, I had my like high school friends who were like friends from school, and I also had our Cincinnati Chinese church Asian friends, and there was definitely a sense, not a strong sense, but I definitely felt a sense of embarrassment of like having a group of Asian friends. Like, it wasn't this bad, but I definitely was like, okay, I definitely had this thought or feeling. I am definitely exposing myself, because I did feel this before.
No, internalized racism is like...
No, I do remember, like, if I were hanging out with a group of my Asian friends, I didn't want to be caught, like, hanging out with them. Like, I definitely had the thought, I was like, I hope none of my cool friends see me, like, hanging out with my Asian friends. Definitely had that thought, for sure.
Yeah, the internal...
Yeah, it was bad, which is crazy, because I think about it now, and I'm just like...
That's so weird.
That mindset, I completely now, after college, I've completely reclaimed my cultural identity, and at this point it's crazy to look back and see how far I've come since those high school days.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I'm embarrassed to admit that out loud. I had those same
Yeah.
feelings.
You had
I
the
was just
same
like,
feelings, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it was
now
bad.
I'm like kind of proud. I went through this whole process like probably midway through high school, and I think quarantine and COVID helped a lot. And then it was also just the insurgence of like a bunch of Asian representation
That's
in
also
media.
true.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, like I am
We
so
up.
proud to be different. Yeah, like I'm so glad that I have
Facts.
something.
We got
to
BTS.
share. Yeah.
We got Blackpink.
Yeah, we had
We
like
got Squid
Shang-Chi.
Games.
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
Squid Games.
we got
had
hella representation now.
yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
I'm so
Doing good work out
jealous,
there.
yeah, of the kids who are growing up in this day and age because they don't
yes.
have to go through the same things that we did in terms of
Yes.
hating
Right.
our own culture.
Yes, it's
Um,
crazy. Everyone has their like lunchbox moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's also another well elaborated
Yeah.
story. But
Mm-hmm.
cause mom would always pack us the
Yeah.
weirdest shit for
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah.
So,
She didn't do that for me though. Like I remember growing
and she
up.
doesn't do that for John and Philip
No,
anymore.
she
Yeah.
makes.
Oh no, she
No,
does.
she
But
packs them
they're-
bowls of like dumplings.
But
fried-
they're
yeah.
proud of it now.
Yeah. And, like
yeah.
the white people want their food now
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
But I remember
crazy.
in 4th grade, I brought a roll ball, which is like pork floss. mud.
Delicious.
So good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then some kid was like, ew, Andrew's eating hair. I'm just like, oh, I was
Oh
so
my God,
embarrassed,
they
man.
don't even
I was
know.
So
They
embarrassed.
don't even know.
Man.
Yeah, mom would pack me
Yeah.
stir fry, and it smelled different from like the school bought lunches, and people would
Yeah.
just comment on it. I'd be like,
know.
damn, I like this, but I'm embarrassed to be
I
eating
know.
it. You know?
Yeah.
And I would tell mom. I remember very distinctly. I would tell mom, stop packing me this. Pack me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And mom, I don't know. I remember for like a period of time, she would only pack us peanut butter and jelly
Or
sandwiches,
ham and cheese or
or
something.
peanut
like
butter
that.
and honey sandwiches,
Oh,
because
those are pretty bomb.
those are kind of fire. So
Those are pretty
for
fire.
good reason we asked for that.
Yeah.
But like I just wanted to fit in with my little
Yeah,
sandwich
yeah.
lunch.
Wait, this is interesting because the only thing I remember mom packing me that was different, because I think after she got that feedback from you
Yeah.
guys,
Mhm.
I basically never had like Chinese food packed for my lunches aside from
Oh,
things like
interesting.
seaweed. But I had like regular peanut butter jelly sandwiches
Yeah.
or like ham sandwiches or whatever. But I was proud to have seaweed. Like I would share with my friends,
Yeah.
and I think part of that
Wow.
comes from like you guys always calling me weird. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be weird.
Okay.
I'm gonna have like
You owned it.
weird paper seaweed, and I'm gonna eat it for lunch, and I'm gonna make everyone else want it too. And if they don't like it, that's more for me. So I think in that sense, like this is also something I've talked about with my friends, is
Mhm.
that I don't think I recognized that I was Asian until like 6th grade.
Huh?
Or like not or like I didn't recognize
What?
or I didn't recognize that was or no, more maybe 5th grade.
Like
actually.
you didn't own it, or you're
Or
like,
I didn't
I'm
realize
white.
that there were no, I didn't realize that there were negative stereotypes about being Asian until I was in 5th
Okay.
grade. So like prior to 5th grade, most of my
Yes,
friends had been
that's
white,
true.
and like I didn't feel any different around them, aside from when they did the Japanese, Chinese, Korean,
the-
whatever.
You see
Yeah.
things in widescreen.
Yeah. Like
I got
that
that a
was
lot growing up.
yeah.
Yeah,
I also
same,
got
same,
like,
same,
why
same.
aren't you in
It's pretty
ESL?
funny, honestly. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
No.
Not perpetuating.
Yeah, but until like fifth or 6th grade is when I realized that there was an expectation for me to be a certain way because I was Asian, and that's when I started to like look differently upon culture. So I think prior to that, the seaweed thing was like, yeah.
The seaweed thing was prior to 5th, 6th grade?
I got
okay.
packed it in like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade.
Oh.
I'm gonna let you guys chew on these thoughts.
I was the OG middle child.
I've been a middle child longer than you've been a middle child.
Yeah, but I was the original middle child.
Andrew was the OG middle
I was the
child.
OG middle child.
I was only a youngest child for 6 years, okay?
Pretty long time.
Okay.
Didn't really account for the first 2 years.
Hey, yo.
Should we get back into it? What are we talking about?
How our
Rachel
relationship
said
with
you
mom.
wanted to talk more about how your relationship has changed with us.
Oh, I can't, yeah.
with us.
Is
or
it
mom and dad?
interesting? Because
Oh, yeah, yo. Well, I guess for you.
I guess it's not.
I guess it's not. We can move on to the next
I was
topic.
just gonna say, like, I think my relationship with you changed because you started putting more effort into having
Yes.
a relationship with me.
Yep.
Right.
So I think the first thing that we kind of connected on was music.
Yes.
And then after we figured out that we
true.
liked the same music, we
Yeah.
enjoyed classical music and just like appreciated the
Yes.
art form that is music.
Yes.
Like
We've
that's
gone to
what.
concerts together,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
symphony orchestra concerts.
Mhm, mhm.
Those are fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And y'all excluded me.
Yeah, because you don't have a appreciation
No.
for the
Yeah.
finer arts.
I have
Andrew.
PTSD from classical music.
Yeah, at least Rachel and I still appreciate classical music.
Mm-hmm.
But we both got into piano and violin respectively
Yeah.
because we actually enjoyed it.
Because we wanted to.
Andrew got into
Yeah.
piano because he had to.
Yep, because
Yeah.
mom was like,
It's an
"You're gonna learn
obligation.
this instrument," so I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." I mean, I'm
Fair.
really glad that I know it now. Like, I bought myself a piano, and like, 5th grade Andrew would have been like, "You did what?"
Hey, what
Yeah.
now? Yeah.
Yeah, because I hated that shit.
Yeah, but we did have, because like our appreciation for music obviously extended beyond classical music. We
Mhm.
both love like R&B and
Yeah.
That's it.
I guess
Yeah.
I guess we
Just,
both,
like,
but like
interesting
that's like my
musical
main
things,
type.
yeah.
That's the main music. Like R&B and hip hop are my two
Mhm,
main
mhm.
genres that I'm really into. So we overlapped a lot with the R&B side of things.
Mhm. Yeah, that's all I
Anyways.
had to say.
Sick. All right. On a related topic, let's talk about how our individual relationships with mom and dad have changed over the years. Because definitely they have changed. And
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
we touched a little bit on it yesterday on the previous pod. But yeah, I'll start because my relationship with dad definitely was probably the biggest thing that changed. Mom has always been like a kind of a gentle presence in my life.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
dad's attitude towards me and my attitude towards dad changed significantly. And it was like black and white. Like my relationship
Yeah.
with dad, like from high school to college, like the transition was crazy. But prior to college, my relationship with dad was a fear. I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want to step on his toes. He's gonna blow up, get mad at me, whatever.
Yeah.
Because he would lecture me all the time. Like once he
Yeah.
stopped beating me, he started lecturing me a lot, you know, and like criticizing me about like not studying enough for the SAT, not studying enough for the ACT, no girlfriends, one girl rule for prom, all these
Yeah.
random
Yeah.
things that I resented dad for, and a flip was just switched as soon as I went to college. He was just like, I don't care what you do with your life. In fact, I need you to find a girlfriend now so you can get married. It was actually the craziest like transition of all time. He took a hard turn. And for the better, honestly, the dad that I know now, the relationship I have with dad now is amazing. And I think I wish it were more of a progressive or gradual transition into this.
Mhm.
But it was just black and white. Like as soon as I got into college and dad was like, all right, he's like a man now. He was like, I can respect his own decisions for himself now. And I'm glad we finally reached that point because living at home back before college felt like a prison because of my relationship with dad.
Dang.
Dang.
Yeah.
Because my relationship, you said you're like, oh, they definitely changed. I'm not gonna lie, mine has stayed relatively consistent.
Yep. I think it's a big like an older sibling
Yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah,
I
for
took all the
sure.
shit for
Yeah.
you guys.
You really did. Yeah.
So that you guys could live this cushy like life that you guys both had.
Yeah.
It's like that one meme of the guy like spreading his
Oh,
wings
the-
and blocking all the arrows
Yeah.
from hitting the person underneath.
Thanks,
that was
bro.
me.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jesse.
I took a lot.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Anyways, do you feel like your guys' relationship had changed at all with mom and dad?
Well, I was gonna talk about how because you're taking all the blows, and I was mentioning earlier that I was the OG
Mhm.
middle child because Rachel was the youngest for a while. But then once John and Philip came along, like dad spent a lot of energy like lecturing you, and then
Mhm.
mom spent a lot of energy like raising Philip and John. And so I think Rachel and Rachel, you're the only girl. I don't
Yeah.
know. In my mind, I was just kind of cruising. And
Yeah,
so
you
the-
really flew under the radar.
exactly. I was
Yeah.
Because mom
very-
paid a lot of attention to Rachel.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, yeah, mom was paying attention to you, and then of course Philip and John. And so the story goes, we were going to Jesse's college graduation, and mom was just kind of reminiscing about when Jesse like first got into college. She was saying, oh, when Jesse like left
Oh
for
my God.
college, you know, the house just wasn't the same. She was just crying for like days or weeks on end, and then she was like,
Crazy. I have a really like a core memory of this. Like when mom and dad dropped me off for college, there are very few times I've seen mom and dad cry. That was one of the times I remember mom like breaking out into tears like when she was like literally dropping me off and driving back to Ohio.
wow.
I like seeing mom cry is one of the hardest things in the world. Like I just like could not hold it in. We were all like just tearing up, and there's this picture because I think dad wanted to take pictures of the moment before they like
Yeah.
of me being dropped off. So there's this picture. I'll see if I can find it of me like standing next to mom. We're both holding back tears, trying to force a smile.
Wow, that's so
That's
sad.
Which is really funny because I know when they dropped you off.
Oh, nothing. That's what mom said. She was like, oh yeah, when we dropped you off at Georgetown, like it was just fine.
Yeah.
And I was just like, thanks, mom.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was a little different for me when I was dropped off because I'm so close to home.
They were like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
glad
Yeah.
Rachel's out of the house
Where-
now.
No, they were like, oh, we'll come visit you every weekend because dad was taking classes in Columbus.
Oh,
so they were
yeah.
like, oh
Okay.
yeah, dad's going to drive up anyways.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, when I left.
damn, they
there
want
was-
me out of the house.
Oh, for sure they wanted you out of the
No,
house.
this is fair.
Yeah, no. But mom was saying, she's like, oh, it's not because we didn't miss you. I'm like, okay, sure. She was like, oh, it's because you've
Oh, I didn't
always
know
been
mom
like
cried
out of the house.
for weeks.
Yeah, no, she was crying
Damn.
for a long time.
Maybe I am the favorite.
Wait a minute. Yeah, mom was like, oh,
Ew.
you've always been kind of like out of the house, or like, yeah, no, I've always been like pretty self-sufficient, and like, yeah, no,
Mm. I think it's just a milestone because
I
like
think so, yeah.
since I was the first child, I was like the guinea pig
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
Like they just like threw shit at the wall. Like they didn't know what would stick. They didn't know what would work, and I am the product of such process. But
Hot
once
garbage.
once their first iteration of their child had left their home, they're like, wow, this is like our first
Prototype.
prototype. This
Yeah.
is like you have like
It's a V1.
a special connection with the prototype,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the middle children neglected.
no, because now they
2D,
know what
3D,
works and what
4D.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So they're just like, all right, we're just gonna bang these out because we know. Pause.
Wait
We're
a
just gonna-
minute.
I mean, they kind of did that too.
Yeah.
we're just gonna do the same thing that we did with
Yeah.
the first child, and do the things that worked and
Yeah.
like neglect the things that didn't. So
Mm.
it's less of a project, I would say. You guys were less of a project. than
I think for mom, I was more of mom's project because I was the girl,
Mm.
and so I
Yeah,
had
'cause
a
it was
special.
different.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been, but the
Yeah.
way they raised you was definitely different.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
because I was gonna say that my relationship with dad has always been weird because there's always been, mom and dad, you know, they grow up in a very traditional environment, like Eastern culture kind of
Yeah.
thing, and you know, there's certain gender roles, and I think that definitely played into how they raised me.
Mm.
So I think dad was always disapproving in some senses in terms of me being a girl, and then mom, I
What do you
think,
mean disapproving?
or like there's certain things where, you know, like the sports thing.
Right.
You know,
Elaborate, please.
Yeah.
okay, so basically growing up, I was never signed up for any sports. So
Whereas,
Jesse
yeah.
and Andrew, as soon as they came out, it was like soccer, tennis, basketball.
Yeah, we played
the
all the
worst,
sports.
like
yeah.
everything. And then they had me and they went, a girl?
Dance.
Let's throw her into ballerina.
Yeah. And so I
Yeah.
did dance for like 6 months and then I
Did you
quit.
like it?
I think I liked it, but
Okay.
I did not have a lot of poise. So I think growing up with two brothers, it's so funny. There's a picture where we took like a class dance photo, and everyone's like all sitting up, nice and upright. I'm literally hunched over.
It's like, this is how my brothers are at home.
So I don't think I was built for dance. Like I never wanted to be like a very like upright, postured kind of
Yeah,
girl, and I
good
think
etiquette kind
Yeah.
of person.
yeah.
Kind of a tomboy growing up.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
like
You
obviously
grew
with
up
two
with
brothers,
brothers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Um,
inevitable.
And I would always ask to play sports too. I remember like the one sport that I really wanted to play growing up was soccer, and so I would like repeatedly ask to be signed up for soccer, and it just never happened. And then the only
pretty sad,
sport
actually.
that they signed me up for when I asked to be signed up for was figure skating.
Because it fit within the
Yeah.
gender.
Yeah. So
roles,
that
yeah.
was interesting.
Yeah.
And there's also been a couple things with like modesty and making sure that I'm wearing things that like cover the
Cover
appropriate
your
body
knees.
parts.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know.
Mhm.
So that's also
got
been a
any of
thing.
that, yeah.
Yeah, but with mom, I've always felt like I got a lot of attention from mom especially in terms of violin. And I remember she would always write down like very detailed schedules for me, and she was like, if you do all of these things, I'll give you 25 cents.
Wow.
Yeah.
Positive reinforcement.
And
Those
then,
were the days.
Yeah.
I remember
yeah.
we got grades for piano.
Yeah.
Every time, I forget the grading
Yeah.
scale. Every time we
It's
got
like
like whatever the
emo,
best
yeah.
mark was, we could go to like the store and buy like a little toy or something.
Yeah. Or like
Oh,
get
wow.
McDonald's or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The simple joys of being a kid.
child.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't get many
I was like, I don't remember going to McDonald's that often, to be honest.
Yeah.
I only got one toy.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh.
My running back is not returning in
Okay,
fantasy.
good. But yeah, so I've always had like I've fought a lot with mom growing up, and I still do fight a lot
for
with
sure,
mom,
you
and
did.
that's because I feel like I just always had a lot of her attention. And I feel like I just like fighting, I guess. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I
You have
just
a temper.
Yeah, and I
Wait,
think
that's
I
why
was
mom and dad
very-
were like, oh, you would be a great lawyer because you're very argumentative.
Eat it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very strong-willed, I think. So that's
Yeah,
why
that's a good way to put
Yeah,
it.
there you
Yeah,
go. There you
okay,
go.
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of like I asked to do a lot of the things that I ended up doing because they never signed me up for things.
Yeah.
So I had to ask to play violin. I had to ask to do like whatever I did in high school, or not in high school. High school is more like free range. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But like growing up, I had to ask for a lot of things that you guys kind of automatically got, but I didn't. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of the things I didn't want.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I think I'm thankful for it now.
Yeah.
Like I said.
But I think my relationship with mom, distance definitely has helped. I have a lot more appreciation for mom because I think growing up, I was just kind of like a little bit annoyed at certain things, especially with violin. Because mom was kind of just like, you need to practice. Like she used to be very strict about when I practiced and like the quality of my practicing. And then I think when she sort of laid off of that was in middle school when I quit. Because we kind of both came to a realization that what was happening was not working. And I think she realized that like she wants me to do things because I enjoy them and not because she's making me do it. So then after I quit, found a new teacher, like fell back in love with music. I think that's sort of where I think my relationship with mom is very closely tied to my relationship with violin. So as soon as that relationship changed, I think mom just like let me handle what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I remember you wrote your college essay on that.
Yeah.
It's been kind of long since we've been back to China. What will we do once mom and dad won't be able to take us? What happens
Talk
to our
about
heritage
documentary.
once we
Mm-hmm.
lose mom and dad? Because they're like the bridge between us and our
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
back at home. Like,
Yeah.
sure, we have cousins, but we're not close to them. Like, mom and dad are the ones who are the liaison between us and our family back at home. Sit on that for a minute.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me, because I think my favorite thing about going to China is visiting the Zan village. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing close to going back to where Ye and Nai live, seeing, like, their farm and, like, the mountains that they live in, and being with, you know, Xiao Gufu and his 3 children, and, like, all the Gugus and Xiao Gufus.
Yeah, and just like
Yeah.
living that like life with them, because their life is so starkly different from what we
Yeah.
live here, and it's like stepping into a whole nother world, and it's going because of COVID, because of the whole China-US relationship, like the access to our heritage has dwindled a lot. And if we stop going back, we're inevitably going to lose that connection, and that's
Right.
something I definitely don't want to lose.
Right.
And that goes into these sirens are so annoying. That goes into why and this is something that we've talked about a lot, is why I want to document our like heritage through some
Right.
sort of like creative documentary style film, so that once we have our kids, like even if we lose mom and dad in our like direct connection with our heritage, we will have some way of sharing that with our family. And of course,
Yeah.
I would love to be able to take my kids, my family, back to the Zon family village and like introduce them to everyone. But I'm not super close with my cousins, like in the
Yeah,
village.
yeah.
I've seen them a total of maybe 3-4 times in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, like we get along because like me and Fang Ying, we could go back to the village with her.
Right.
Tong Tong, I feel like we were close with as a kid, but like
Lost connection.
it's not like someone I could just hit up and be like, hey, like,
Yeah.
can I crash at your place
Yeah.
in the village?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, what happens when mom and dad are gone? Like, are we even allowed back in that space?
Yeah. And I think one thing that's very different with that, like we can't hit up the cousins, but the cousins can hit up each other because they grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah,
the
we
Zon
didn't grow up
village.
with them. We're
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
outsiders to them.
Yeah.
Because we're the weird, not weird, but we're like the American cousins. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
see us as completely separate from their own like cousin relationships within each other.
Yeah.
There's an aspect of me that really wants to preserve this part of who I am,
Yeah.
and
It's so special.
it is
Yeah.
it truly is, and I don't think very many people can say that they have
Yeah.
the kind of experiences and cultural connections that we do.
Yeah.
And it's now I see it as a privilege to have that really special connection, but like I said, it does seem like it's something that as we grow older, as we become more busy with our lives here in America, it is something that we'll slowly lose touch of. And within the next decade, I think I really want to see this project through
Yeah.
and really be able to capture. And we'll see. Like we have some ideas, and we've talked about this a little bit. But I do want to do a good job documenting this and being able to not even like share it within the family. Like I do also want to share it with I don't know, the world, because it's a pretty incredible story. And I think other people would appreciate it.
I guess in terms of addressing this like potential loss of culture, do you guys have plans like to reconnect with our cousins?
Yeah, no, I don't have like actual plans, but I have thought about so I've thought about this where once I have kids and a family, like I almost don't want my kids to lose that connection so bad that I would consider sending my kids to the Zon family village and have the village raise my kids instead of me. Partially for selfish reasons, because then I don't have to take care of my... No, I'm just kidding. But because with me, like, sure, like, okay, this is something we could talk about quickly. I can speak Chinese fairly fluently, but I'm definitely way more comfortable speaking English. And depending on the person I marry, like, we're most likely going to raise our kid speaking predominantly English.
Right.
And therefore, this kid will definitely lose the ability and connection to their own heritage in the language aspect of things. Like they won't be able to speak the language of their culture. That's one of the motivations of why I want to send them to live within the culture, so that they pick up the language. And there's so much I could talk about this, because I actually wrote my college essay on this whole language
Right.
dissonance between me and like because our family language is not Mandarin.
Yeah.
Right.
We have Du Changhua,
Yeah.
which is what our family village speaks, and I can't speak that, nor do I really understand it. It's similar to Chinese,
Yeah.
but it's also very different.
Yep.
Yeah.
And going back to the village and sitting at the dinner table where everyone's speaking in Du Changhua, or we even have an even smaller dialect called the Zon family language,
Yeah.
Zhanjiahua, where everyone's speaking in the Zhanjiahua, like our family
Yeah,
language, and I'm
yeah.
just sitting there, I'm like
know
asking
what's
mom and dad
happening,
to like
yeah.
interpret,
Yeah.
like to translate for me, and that felt really distancing for me,
Yeah,
because I'm like,
yeah.
hey, I am a part of this family, I bear the family name,
Yeah.
but I can't speak or understand the
Yeah.
family language, and that
It hurts.
It hurts. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. You almost feel like you're not a part of the family.
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
you guys experience anything
No,
similar.
definitely. I
Yeah.
think especially when I went back to China by myself, like junior year
Mm-hmm.
summer, a lot of it was Du Changhua, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful that some of the people that I worked with, like they started teaching me certain phrases.
Mhm,
It
yeah.
was like very basic, but it made me feel very proud. And like
Yes.
Ye and Nai were like, "Oh my goodness! Like
Yes.
you know how to say it's too hot." Yeah.
So like I would do that too, but the only people I felt comfortable asking to like teach me were the little kids.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And I would be
Yeah.
like, hey, how do you say like 桌子 or how do you say like 椅子? Like these
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
simple basic terms. I'd be like, hey, can you teach me these things so I feel like I'm in this
Yeah.
group,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. And yeah, that's the other thing. I was like, my kids could be raised within the village and learn the dialect
Yeah.
and be truly connected with who they are, where that wasn't something I could do for myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Interesting.
the uncomfortableness you felt during the dinner tables is like the same uncomfortableness I feel every time that we call Ye and Nai Nai. I'm like always so embarrassed to talk to them. And then I
Yeah.
realized later on, I remember whenever like we'd call Ye and Nai Nai or grandma, grandpa like
Yeah.
on the phone for birthdays, like holidays, whatever, like mom and dad would give me the phone and I'd try to like get rid of the phone as quickly as possible because I'm just like, I can't like talk to them, I can't understand them.
Yeah.
And I remember I FaceTime Yaya like last night or like 2 nights ago, right before I came here to Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then dad was just like, oh, like Yaya just wants to see your face. And I'm just like, oh, like that's really it. And then that's when I like
I'm gonna cry.
yeah, and then I'll start speaking like
Yeah.
the basic Mandarin I know, and then if dad needs to translate that to Zhanjiahua or like translate either way, like that's how I have my conversations with Yaya because I'm just like, again, like time is limited.
Like language
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
how we can connect with our heritage, and if we don't even have language, like we
Yeah.
can't even hope. Like if our kids can't even speak Mandarin
yeah,
at the
Yeah.
bare minimum,
Yeah.
there's no way they're gonna be able to connect with their cultural heritage,
Yeah.
which is really disappointing and sad to think about.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my goal is to have my kids' Mandarin be better than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
like,
is not a
for
high
sure.
bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, so I definitely want to put in like an effort in
Right.
teaching, not maybe myself teaching them Mandarin because I don't think I'm qualified to do that, but like sending them to Chinese
No,
school
that's
or
why
like,
we live close to mom and dad.
or have
Exactly.
mom and
All
dad
live
raise them
close
and be like,
together.
hey, you're only allowed to
Yeah.
talk to my kid in Chinese,
That's
which would be
man.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you check the time? I think we're like
We're at 6. It's an hour,
6,
right
okay.
on the dot.
All right, so Andrew has to make his flight to New York.
Gang, gang.
Next chapter in his life.
Move.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
wrap up this pod.
Concrete
We're literally
jungle
doing
where
this
dreams are made of.
last minute. But yeah, this has been another episode of the Rooftop Pod. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm your host Jesse. I am signing out, and my sibling
Rachel.
And Andrew,
are signing off as well.
peace.
All right. See y'all
Bye,
in New
everyone.
York.
See y'all
Yes.
in New York.
Next episode coming to you live in NYC. 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 NYC.